Today I will be showing you how to do the loop dilution method. I've already went on ahead and I've sanitized my area using germicide, wiping that down with paper towels, and disposing of my paper towels in my biohazardous waste container. I've already let that air dry, and while that did air dry, I washed my hands. I've applied clean gloves and a clean lab coat. We will then need to begin with first grabbing our 2 test tubes with our liquid molten agar, labeling them A and B, which is already done. We'll have our stock culture, which is already properly labeled as well. We'll need to grab 2 additional petri dishes, labeling those with a China marker on the bottom of a petri dish with our initials, our microbes initials, as well as A or B. So to begin with, we'll need to warm up our backdoor incinerator. We'll also need to grab our tool, which is the inoculating loop. We'll need to stick our inoculating loop into the backdoor incinerator for 10 seconds. We can now grab our stock culture. We can open that up. We'll flame it for 3 seconds. We'll then grab our culture, flame it for 3 seconds, closing that and putting it into our test tube rack. We will then grab tube A. We'll open it. We'll flame it for 3 seconds. We'll take our inoculating loop and we will stick it into test tube A. We'll flame it, close it. Since we haven't touched anything, our inoculating loop is still sterile, so we have to go back into our stock culture. Again, opening it, flaming it for 3 seconds, grabbing another sample, flaming it for 3 more seconds, closing it, and we have to grab tube A again. We'll open it, flame it for 3 seconds, and we'll mix our second dose of our culture into our tube. We'll flame that for 3 more seconds. We'll close that. We'll put it back into our test tube rack. We'll then backdoor incinerate our inoculating loop for 10 seconds. And then we could put it down. We will need to mix our test tube A, and by doing so, we can gently flick it on the bottom of the tube. Or rolling it in between our hands, like so. We can then put test tube A back into our test tube rack. We'll need to grab our inoculating loop again, backdoor incinerate it for 10 seconds, let that cool. We'll need to grab test tube A again. We'll open that up. We'll stick our loop into that. We'll close it. Grab test tube B, open. We will then stick our inoculating loop inside of that, mixing it around. We'll close that. Since my inoculating loop again has not touched anything, it's still considered to be sterile. So I will then again grab test tube A. I'll open it. I'll flame it again for 3 seconds. Stick my loop back into that. Flame it again, closing it. I will then grab test tube B, opening it, mixing my sample in there, flaming it, closing it, putting it back into the test tube rack. I will then incinerate my inoculating loop for 10 seconds. It is now sterile, so I can put it down. I will then grab my 2 petri dishes that are labeled A and B. I will then take test tube A. I will mix it very quickly, but safely and gently so it doesn't splash everywhere. I'll open it. Clamshelling petri dish A. I will pour that into there, closing that and placing the tube back onto my test tube rack. And I will gently swirl that around like so. I will then grab Petri dish B, grabbing test tube B. I will open that, clamshelling my Petri dish. I will pour that into there, closing that, closing the test tube, sticking that back into my test tube rack, and I will gently swirl B. I will then wait for my agar to solidify, and once that's solidified, I will incubate it upside down for 48 hours. Once that's all done, I will then sterilize my area using my germicide, wiping that down with my paper towels, disposing of my paper towels into my biohazardous waste container. I will then wash my hands, remove my gloves, and I would remove my lab coat.